Hi, I'm Sam Hughes. I'm a sound designer and voice actor, and I'm predominantly working in video games. It was a kind of combination of attending loads of events. I met people through the website I run, the Sound Architect, and I freelanced just off the bat, really, and kind of just worked on loads of smaller projects to begin with, and then a combination of that as well as the masters I did, I managed to get an internship to then get a 3-month junior sound design position at TT Games, Traveller's Tales Games. I did that at the University of York, and so up that way. A bit of a big move. I was living in London at the time, but it was a great moment because I managed to get a scholarship to study it, which was phenomenal. So. Yeah, it's post production with sound design. It's quite aimed at film as opposed to games, but you can. I don't know. I found that I could. Every project I had the option, I made it about games, and I could make it very game orientated. And there was some programming in there with Pure Data as well, and Reactor and some Max MSP, so it was good. Yeah, the sound architect is kind of a different beast now than what it was in the beginning. I started it a couple of years ago as just a showcase website for my sound design, and then I was kind of like, okay, well, I need to kind of get out there and meet more people, and I knew quite a few people in the industry already, and I thought, you know what, it'd be really cool to share some of the knowledge I've gained from these people with the community. So I thought, right, okay, I'll start it as a blog, and I'll start sharing interviews and articles and things. And I started doing that, and it kind of grew faster than I expected it to, and people seemed to kind of really positively respond to it. And even though it kind of, in the beginning it was kind of a tool in a way for me to showcase my work and meet people, it became its own kind of being, and now I kind of continue doing it out of love for game audio and love for audio in general, and people seem to enjoy it. So.
Hello and welcome to The Sound Architect. I'm Sam Hughes and this is the BAFTA Games Awards 2016.
Yeah, I have to admit the networking side has kind of been helped by the Sound Architect quite a lot, especially with events, and things, because we cover them and you get press passes and things like that. And I got to meet other people through people I'd already spoken to, and yeah, it was a great networking opportunities came up from that. Oh wow. That's quite difficult. My mum for many years, and I still think she considers what I do music. She seems to go, "Oh yeah, Sam does music for stuff," and I'm like, "No, it's not music. What do you do then?" And that's such a common thought process for, I don't know, the average Joe or whatever. They don't really consider sound effects as a job by itself. They kind of go, "Oh right, well," and then especially games. People who don't play games, my mum still thinks of games as bleeps and bloops. So she's like, "What do you mean you do sounds for them? Like, they don't have sounds." So, and especially with the voice acting as well, she still kind of struggles to understand what that side of it is. And so I kind of end up going, yeah, I make loads of noises and put them in video games. And I do loads of silly voices too. That's kind of seems to be the short version I have to give some people. It's one of those jobs that it's kind of a vague title because it depends what project you're working on with how much you're in charge of. Like, you could be a sound designer on a massive project and only have environments to do or only have characters to do. Or you could be the only sound designer on the project and you're also trying to implement and do everything else and cover all of the audio in the project. So it's quite a weird pipeline sometimes depending where you are in the process. But I think it's got pros and cons for both. So if you're focused on environments, you can really get lost in a world that you're making, and you can get to record some really cool ambiences, and you get to some really cool environments, especially things today like impulse responses, where you can get the reverb of the quirky caves you visited, and then go back and be all nerdy with the other audio guys and go, "Oh man, we found this awesome place and got the reverb, putting it in this now." So it's just one of those jobs that's, if you're into it, and then you're into it because you find it so cool and challenging all the time. It's been a passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. I was quite in tune with the fact that someone had that job from a very young age, and I didn't have the job from a very young age, but from a young age I knew the job existed, and I wanted to do that for so many years. I've always done silly voices, and I've always kind of performed in a private way, like in studios or on camera. I don't do theatre performances, which is what makes it a bit strange, I guess. I've not been formally trained at acting school or anything like that, and like I acted in a few films during the masters, but it just really shows how I've been brought up around technology. I'm so comfortable around cameras and microphones, but stick me in a room full of people and I probably couldn't act like I do normally. But it's really fun job. You can literally go in and become the character or become the creature. So like yesterday I was recording emotes and efforts for different characters and things, and I just love getting lost as the characters and becoming them and just doing all these different quirky voices. It's really cool. So for example, yesterday were emotes and efforts. So these can be things from lifts and jumps, and so you have like when they're kind of swiping with swords, or they're jumping in the air, and grunts, and or if they're pulling on something, they're like and things like that. So it's really good fun, and out of context it can be really amusing, because obviously when you hear them by themselves they just sound rather strange, but when you see them in game, it really does kind of come together, and it feels really, really, really good to be a part of that. There was so much freedom recording OMUK, and because even the little things like the mic was attached to the headset, so there were so many times as a voice actor where you accidentally bump the microphone, or you move too far away, because you have to get into the performance. You have to kind of, you gesture and you're moving, and especially with emotes where you're doing things like dying and like swiping and victories and things. And so there was even an example yesterday where I had to do death noises for this for a creature, and it really did. The performance was so much better when I was literally crumpling to the floor and doing the performance and actually kind of really dying. And it really does give you that freedom to express, which is what you need in most performances. And that's where a lot of people struggle, because you're forced a lot of the time to stand like this far away from the mic and stay as still as you can. You're kind of holding back on some of the performance all the time, because you want to let loose, and you want to go and you want to move forward, or you want to move back, and they go it's too loud now, or try and stay the same distance because it's varying in amplitude. And it's just a perfect way of recording, and I'm surprised that we haven't got that way sooner in a lot of studios. I always give really cheesy advice when I'm asked this question, and I always quote, I think it was Mark Kilborn who first said this to me many years ago, and he said, luck is the combination of preparation and opportunity. And that's obviously a proverb that's been around for a long time, but that one really stuck with me. And the best way for that to happen is that you're always prepared. So learn the stuff, learn the software. You don't have to be working in games to have the experience. It's only time at a company on a CV. You could have made games, you could have worked on games yourself, you could have made loads of reels, So constantly work on your craft. Make sure that you are doing what you love. If you're doing what you love, it won't be a chore to make your own personal videos and redesign sound for trailers, and work with the middleware like Wise or Fmod or Fabric, and make videos of it. And also, don't be afraid to talk to people. Like, there's this even before I started interviewing people, there's this kind of thought process that people are out of reach. They've worked on these AAA titles, and they're amazing, and you can't talk to them. And the best example of this is the first interview that we did on The Sound Architect was with Philip Kovacs, who was the audio lead on The Last of Us. And all it came from was a tweet. I literally asked him to say, would you like to be interviewed? We'd love to talk to you about the audio. And he just went, yeah, sure. And there's so many guys like that in game audio. And, everyone in game audio that I've come across is mostly just so comfortable talking about what they've done, how they got there. And there's no like, it's my job, you can't have it. There's none of that. Everyone just wants to help nurture the community, and everyone wants to improve game audio. So they want to help the next generation. They want everyone to be good at what they do. They don't want games to come out with rubbish audio. So they're happy to help. So just get talking to people.